Viceland. That's a new TV network that was launched Monday by the Vice magazine brand, and its programming will showcase Vice's trademark irreverent approach to journalism. Charles, as someone who works in film and television, what do you think of Vice's approach?
I am actually working with Vice.
Yeah, full disclosure.
Yeah. But not, but it's
So they're geniuses.
They're fantastic.
No. I'm hugely critical of where I put my energies. But I think, they've established themselves as this amazing journalistic, their demographic they've carved out, going to hard places, telling these stories. Now that they're moving to this other platform, we have to remember that they signed a pretty big deal with Rogers a couple of years ago. $100 million isn't something to sneeze at. With that, I'm sure obligations came with that. So to the masses and the public, we're like, why are these guys going in this direction? And we have to also take into consideration that when you can reach people on every platform, that's a business model, and I think that those sort of things we can't take for granted that there are people in other parts of the country who don't have tablets and iPhones and stuff, so they still take in things in this quote unquote traditional little square that you plug in in your house. So, but I think it's more for myself. I'm more about programming, not the platform. What the content is and what we're putting out there. I don't care if it's on your mobile phone, on a television, whatever it is. It's about the programming and the content. So that's where my eye is on around Viceland.
And you believe they can do it well?
I think
I
think they have the utmost resources to be innovative within this sort of quote unquote traditional form.
Stephen, what do you think the attraction is towards traditional TV for someone who's dominated the digital realm?
Well, I think television's still huge. It's absolutely a huge market. And, as you say, they want to be across all platforms. This is very common. Even Esquire, where I work, they have their own television station, right? They have their own network where they develop programming, right? So it's, it is a quite common thing to do now for that to happen. I mean, Vice, I don't know why they weren't on television before. They seem to fit that medium better than most. I'm very conflicted about Vice. I mean, on the one hand, I really despise their aesthetic and, the Canadian douchebag date rapist aesthetic, which is just awful. But then on the other hand, they are doing what responsible media owners do, which is they're currently taking the police to court to defend one of their writers. And frankly, anywhere where you can get a journalist reporting a story and then you can get a lawyer to defend that journalist, that seems to me something worth cherishing.
Is there a prestige still to network television?
I don't know. I mean, that's such a good question because I feel like even people who watch a lot of TV are often watching it on their computers or on their laptops. So, but I suspect that there is a way to, leverage the money to make something that looks great on a bigger screen. Because if it airs on TV, then it just can immediately go to a device at some point. I think a lot of it is about just the demand for content that, it's not just a kind of a 24-hour, it's a minute by minute demand for content. And I think that the thing that I'm sort of keeping my eye on is, can Vice keep up the pace? Like, can they possibly cover all these platforms? Can they do as much as their reach is so large? And it feels a little like by adding something else, the thing about the sort of prestige question, I wonder if it begins to dilute the very thing that gave Vice its brand in the first place, which was
they've survived all that, though.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing how thorough they are. Incredible at that.
But I wonder when you go after the old people with a cable subscription demographic,
that's
what
right.
it does to the Vice brand. You know what I mean?
It's a new challenge.
But those are the people who were young when Vice came out.
That's true. I suppose.
So right now might be exactly the right time to make that transition.
I mean, that's the horrible thing about Vice. They are us.
And it's really hard to look at those small screens when your eyes start to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I just hope that they, that they're looking at. I mean, you get to experiment. If you have a playground, you have a little spot, and you have some money to actually invest in something and try to reach other folks. I still have my sister and her daughter and my niece. They still sit down on Wednesday nights because they have a television program network that they still watch.
For sure.
Right.
And so there are families and people that are still doing that. And I think if someone's clicking around, they end up seeing Ellen Page flash by.
It's great. And again,
cool.
I mean, as somebody who works in media, I'm glad anybody's investing in media.
Absolutely.
Yes,
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think also Rogers were looking for also a little boost that brings another
Exactly.
space.
Charles is going to get part of that $100 million.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm taking
Kick
you all
some this
out.
way. That's all the time we have. But thank you guys so much for joining me.